happy for this yoga.
This is Lewis Hart for the Ring magazine. Delighted today to be joined with Ben Shalom here in London. Had a launch for Ben Whittaker against Liam Cameron. The rematch is finally on. Yeah, Ben, you must be delighted with this one.
Yeah, it's a fight that we wanted. It's a fight that I think everyone wanted. So delighted to get it over the line. Delighted to see it happen. April the 20th.
On October 13th, the aftermath, everything that's happened, for yourself in your mind, was there only one option for Ben Whittaker next, and was it Liam Cameron?
Yeah, it was just a matter of when. Obviously, Ben could have. We didn't know how long Ben was going to be out for, and all that. But obviously, the way it ended, you knew there was only one. There was only one answer. We spoke to Ben and about him returning and would he need a fight and this and that, and credit to him, he was like, no, we're going straight into it. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that because he has come under a huge amount of criticism, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of its intensity, and he wants to go straight back in there, and yeah, delighted to make it happen.
I was going to say, like, do you think Ben does deserve credit? Because there was a lot of talk after it on what he'll do. A lot of people didn't think he'd take the rematch. So you feel like he deserves some respect for that?
Definitely. I think, look, boxing is a crazy game. It can build you up, it can tear you down. I think we'll look back on it on October the 12th and be glad for it, particularly with Ben's career. I think it gives him an extra focus and an extra realisation that boxing isn't any joke. But yeah, I think people underestimate, and people will never experience, and you can't expect people to understand, their level of criticism and attention. But he's dealt with it really well, and I respect him for it, and he's taken himself away and got back to what he loves and got what he does best, and he's been in that gym, and I think he's ready to go.
Yeah, Easter Sunday as well. I know April 19th was also the Saturday was talked about, but yeah, you've done the same with Wardley Clark the first fight, and that done very well. So hoping for more of the same, especially on Sky. Yeah,
just the numbers, the TV numbers that Wardley Clark did were just unbelievable, and we think we can do it again. Look, it's a fan-friendly fight, it's a casual fight. Ben Whittaker attention just follows him everywhere. I've never worked with anything like it from a star potential, and we saw what happened in the first fight. We saw the headlines it could create. This is absolutely enormous, and yeah, to have it on Easter Sunday again. If we can get half the fight that what Wardley Clark was, it's going to be unbelievable.
Did have to talk about. We stood outside Wembley Arena about 10 days ago, and we were approached by Elvis Agora, and you said to him, look, you've earned another shot, and he has another shot against Tyler Denny. So yeah, good to see the soldier back.
Yeah, you know what it was, is, as you said, you were there, and you book so many opponents, you bring so many opponents over, and foreigners and this and that, and I just loved the way he took his opportunity in every sense and gave absolutely everything in every sense, and yeah, this time he has a lot of notice, and against one of our favourites, Tyler Denny, in his hometown, so it's going to be fireworks. But yeah, good to see Elvis back, and I wanted to make sure he was rewarded for what he brought to that show, because it was, I think our TikTok grew about 300,000 followers. So yeah, good to see him back.
Yeah, for sure. I did want to quickly move on, Ben, as we are a bit pressed for time, but yeah, caused a bit of a I guess when was Azim Lipin? It's about 10 days ago. Yeah, it caused a bit of a stir for yourself on TalkSPORT. When Spencer asked you about Martin Bakole against Anthony Joshua, you said it was done. I think you said it was done. It was signed. You're hearing it's happening. Obviously, I spoke to Eddie Hearn this time last week, and he texted you saying, like, "What are you talking about? Like, why have you said that?" Yeah, I guess what was sort of the reason for you saying that?
You know what it was? I see Spencer getting into Martin. Is it happening? Do you want it? Suddenly his line started changing. Saying, "Oh, so it's happening." And he comes over to me and goes, "Ben, I've just been told. It's just been revealed. Martin's just revealed. It's on. Anthony Joshua, Martin Bakole." Adam Azim's just about to come out, and I was like, "Yeah." So Anthony Joshua, Martin Bakole, it's on. It's done. For the Congo, what do you have to say? And I was just like, Spence. I was like, yeah. So my sense of humour, I was like, yeah, it's done. It's time. We're off to the Congo next week. We've got a fight on May the 2nd. So listen, I think it's a fight everyone wants. Yeah. I think I want it. Martin wants it. I think Anthony Joshua wants it. I think His Excellency wants it. And so it should happen. I think Eddie Hearn doesn't want it.
Yeah.
For maybe obvious reasons to some people, but I think it's what a spectacle that would be. I think it can happen. I truly do.
When you have Martin, who is constantly talking about all the big names, I say Anthony Joshua is the latest one that he mentions. He talks about the sparring, regardless of that. When he constantly says that he's like the boogeyman of the division, and people put that tag on him, does that put extra pressure on him? Do you think? Because people there will probably be people that do want him to lose now because of all the connotation around it.
He wants the pressure, he wants the fights. It's a lot worse when you don't get the fights. He's had to work so hard for this position, and he now has a lot of hype behind him. For me, he's the best heavyweight in the world. I think Usyk is obviously undisputed, is obviously the one, but I think Martin Bakole is avoided for a reason. So pressure, yeah, but he's been desperate for these big fights for months and months and months and years with Billy Nelson, and finally he's getting them. Finally, he's got the hype behind him, and we're gonna see him take over the division.
Yeah. Absolutely, as you say. I did want to move on, Ben, and ask you about comments that Liam Smith made on Talk Boxing on Monday. He spoke about the negotiations for the Eubank Junior rematch, and he said he got less money for the Eubank Junior rematch than he did the first fight. I guess, firstly, I can ask you, is that truth?
Look, I don't think he got less. One.
But is it truth or not? Like, did he get less money? Or?
No, as I said, I can't talk about contracts. He didn't get less. Yeah. I think when we signed Liam Smith, the job was headline and get him to box office. He never headline pay-per-view. To get Chris Eubank Jr. to fight Liam Smith, no belt involved, nothing, on box office, near his hometown, give him, I believe, his 2 highest paydays of his career, higher than Canelo. Yeah. I think we did an unbelievable job to achieve that. And look, of course, I've seen his comments and I've spoke to him since, and I'm hoping that's the end of it. But the work that went in to achieve those box office nights and to get Chris Eubank Jr. to come to Manchester down the road from Liverpool is obviously extremely expensive, and we delivered his 2 highest paydays, and Andy delivered his headline in Liverpool, so it is what it is.
A question I wanted to ask you, and especially in negotiation for that, because you said it was about a clause in the contract. Like, you must know when you are negotiating these contracts, when you're negotiating contracts and when you're putting in contracts for that, you must know that is stitching them up a little bit.
We had to guarantee, and first of all, no, because you don't know the numbers involved. We guaranteed his purse. And again, I've got to be careful, but we guaranteed his numbers before we even signed Chris Eubank Jr. to the fight. Yeah. And we put a huge amount of money down, contracted and guaranteed that he was really happy with. And so we had to deliver that.
Yeah.
And we agreed.
Are you talking about the rematch here?
Yeah, we agreed that. We agreed what we were going to do for the next 2-3 fights. And there was a lot of pressure on us to deliver that. And as I say, we delivered, I believe, his 2 highest career paydays, his 2 only fights on box office. And I've spoke to him since. We've done business since. I've done business with Frankie Stringer. So, and we signed Frankie, who's managed by Liam. So, the last thing we want is that, and to get in the way of things like that.
Final couple from myself. It's a question that you'll get regularly asked. Savannah Marshall came out with a statement last week talking about her not fighting on March 7th and spoke about the press conference as well of being asked to go and then not being put on the top table. I know the same thing happened to Fran Hennessy as well. I guess what was the reason behind this, and what's the reation for her not fighting on March 7th?
Look, we deal with Mick, so I've not spoken. I didn't speak to Savannah about this in particular. All I'd say is on Savannah, we did a lot for Savannah, I believe. We did a lot together. She never headlined when we signed her. We took her to Newcastle. We built her up in a massive, massive way. We gave her huge, huge paydays. We brought Clarissa over. She fought on her card. Then we had the big night at the O2. Then the comeback fight, the Undisputed, and then went to the PFL and nothing to do with us. And look, it was said to us from Mick, she wants to come back and then go on to the Clarissa fight. All it was is we didn't have the budget for what she expected for that fight, and that can happen. And look, we're speaking. I was with Mick on Wednesday. We'll have to look at a different opportunity on that night. We have a budget. That's what it is. And if we can't work, we look at something else.
When you saw the statement, what was the conversation like? Because I know you said you deal directly with Mick, but there must have been.
Yeah, I was upset. I'm upset, obviously. But these things happen in boxing, and I think that will be sorted.
Yeah, for sure. Ben, always a pleasure, mate. Massively appreciate you taking
Top
time
man.
to speak to me.
Thank
Always
you.
good to see you, mate. Top man.
Cheers, brother.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you.